Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial. This is the last part of this tutorial series whereby you are building a mapping application that should be able to do routing functionalities. So last time we were able to finish up with the SQL views, the nearest vertex SQL view and the shortest path SQL view. So in this tutorial we'll be now building the mapping client using Leaflet JS, and then connecting this to Geoserver and then running the queries directly from the map. So let's get started with the map. Okay, so the first thing to do is to bootstrap a Leaflet application. So in this case we are going to I already have a sample. I have a sample online, a boilerplate to build Leaflet mapping application. I leave the link to the description. This is on my GitHub link. So I'm just going to clone directly this boilerplate. So yeah, so I'm going to do this on the desktop. So cd to the desktop, then git clone, then call this like maybe routing up, something like that. Also give it a few seconds. We are done. So I'm going to go into the routing up, and then you open this with VS Code. So this is the index.html that contains the mapping. So if I can actually run this so that we can see, this is how the map looks with some data that I had put. So the first thing is to clean up and remove the unnecessary thing that we don't need. So I'm going to call this just routing up. This is the HTML title, routing up, and then simple routing up, or just routing up. Yeah, I think that's okay. So it's linked to the app.js, jQuery, and Leaflet, and the styling is done with Bootstrap. So let's see what the app.js contains. So this basically, it loads the map. This is Leaflet JS. So first we load the map. We have connected the JavaScript from the index.html. So here's the JavaScript and the CSS up here. Yeah, and we also have Bootstrap and our custom CSS here. So now we'll want to work mostly the app.js. So this has been bootstrapped by this boilerplate. So we have the map centered at around this is Jomo Kenyatta University in Kenya, but I think I just center it to around Nairobi, Kenya. I know this is around the area of interest, so just going to remove this comment. Then zoom level 10 is okay, and then we have the base map, the OSM base map, and then I have the buildings. I don't think this is necessary, so just delete that, and you have just the map and the base layer. So if I save that and look at my map, I should see it centered to this Nairobi. So I think I can increase the zoom level to around 15, so that it zooms into my area of interest somewhere there. Let's make it around 17. So that's a bit. Let's reduce it to 16. So this is the basic code that has been used to create this. So I'm going to change the color of that number, maybe make it move the inverse, right? Yeah, and have it like that. I think that is better on our eyes. So this is the basic app for Leaflet. So now we need to write our custom application. So what we want to achieve is to be able to click on a map, or rather have a marker somewhere, this is somewhere around where our data is based. We have the data which we extracted from OSM, so it's basically, and this base layer is OSM, so it perfectly fits with this. So we should be able to get the directions or the path from, if we click on a point, the starting point, let's say somewhere here, the end point here, we should be able to get the path between these points, the shortest path. So the first thing we'll do is we should place some markers here, the starting one and the finishing one, or the destination, so that we should be able to drag, so that we play along and see if we get the path from Geoserver. So we'll need to add markers. If we go to the leaflet documentation, you can see this URL to the leaflet documentation. I leave this in the description. So yeah, we want the UI layers and we want the marker, we want to add a marker. So you can basically copy this and then add. So we need two types of marker. We need a source marker, and then we need a target, that's the starting point and the finishing one. So we are going to do var, call this source marker, this is the starting one, and then we're going to say copy paste this, and then we are going to put it around around our area. So I have points for that, the lat long, so I'm going to pick that one and then paste it there. If you had to map, we should be able to see a marker. Yeah, so this is the first one, and then we also need to make another one for the target, which is, we can call it destination. So let's say like that, and then we should be able to see two markers. Maybe should separate this a little bit, so let's move that. So let me just copy the points, the lat long, and then put it there. Should now have them a bit spaced. Yeah, that's okay. Now we want to be able to drag, so that we move these markers along the map, and then attach events on move. So what we want to do is to use the options. If you look at the options of the marker, it has something, it's an option for draggable, so you can set this as true or false. So the default is false, so we want to do that to make it draggable. So to do that, we'll add draggable to true and set it to true, and also do the same for this, set draggable to true. Now we should have our marker should be draggable. So if we come to our app and try to move them around, you see they can be draggable. So we should be able to select the starting point and the destination, right? Okay, so the next thing we should want to do is to attach events, so that once you finish moving, you should be able to get the vertex and then perform the routing. So the first thing that we want to do is to create the function that gets the vertex, then so that we give it the nearest one. We give it the current selected, and then the function gives us, connects with Geoserver and gives us back the nearest. So first we'll want to have a variable that represents the base URL of our Geoserver. So we call it something like, we call it Geoserver URL. So this is the localhost one, so just put it there, something like that. Yeah, and then once we have this, now we want to create the function to get the vertex. So we say function, then get vertex. This will be responsible for connecting to Geoserver and then giving us that vertex back. So we'll want to do an Ajax call, asynchronous Ajax call, so that it stops any execution until you get that vertex. So the way to do that is to we should be able to construct the URL. So the way to do that is to we are going to first of all use the template string, and then add the Geoserver URL here, server URL, and then do the WFS that we had written earlier, and then so to save time, I'll just go ahead and copy the whole thing up to the parameters, and then I'm going to paste it here. So so the type name, as we had seen earlier, should be the store name, and then the function is the nearest. So the parameters now here, we need to add the current marker location which you are dragging. If you are dragging this, we need to set the X and Y to be the current position for this marker. If it's this one we are moved, we have to set that. So this means that we have to set an on drag end listener. So let's say before we add to the map, we had dot on drag end. This is an event on Leaflet. If you look at the on drag end, fired when the user stops dragging the marker. So this is what we need. So we are going to do the marker on, and then we say on, say drag end. So we'll make sure we get it correctly. So I'm going to say on drag end, and then you should say on drag end. It should take a function that takes the event, and then this should return. Now we need to attach a way to update the selected point. So we need to keep track of the current one. So if it's the source or the target, so we need to know which one is the current one. See, this one or this one. Despite of the currently selected with the source or target, there's one which is currently selected, right? So we need to keep track of it, and we can use a variable. So let's say maybe selected, call it selected point. Selected point, let's say the initial should be null, so that now here we say the selected point now should be e dot this one sends back the event, and then the tag dot target dot get lat long. So this extracts the point of which the drag end where the marker is. So get lat long, this is from the leaflet documentation, and then we want now to send this to get the vertex. So we should now pass this marker, get this xy, get vertex. We have not finished writing the function, so the function will receive the selected point, which is an object with lat long. So so this one receives selected point, right? So so the x1 now should be the lat, or rather the long. So to do that, we say selected point dot long, dot long, and then this is for X, so we need another one for Y, but we need to close that and then do the template read and then put in there Y should actually be out here, so Y, and then now this is the latitude, so we should do selected point and then dot lat, and then should do this semicolon there. Yeah, this is the URL now that we'll send. It contains the store name, the view name, and then the output format, and then the parameters, which is X and Y, which is from the currently selected marker. So now we need to send this, we need to call this URL, so we can use Ajax from jQuery. So if you remember, we had loaded jQuery, so we can do the query using Ajax. So Ajax is helps us to do asynchronous calls to our server. So if I can use the correct sign for Ajax symbol and then do yeah, the URL to do the call is URL, and then async need it to be false. This is very important so that you are able to stop any other execution of any following functions until we get this data back. You will see how this is very important. And then once we have the data, so that's on success, we want to pass a function, and this detects the data that we receive, and then here now we'll need a function that will set function that will do, or rather a function that will help us to set the correct vertex, and then the correct, if we should be able to decide is it the source or is it the target, so that we are able to send all of them to the shortest path. So to do that, we'll need to track this. So in memory, so we'll have like a source. This one should hold the lat long, or the point, that's the nearest vertex, that's the source, and then target, this should hold the vertex of the target point. So if we click, if this is the source, this one will be stored. The vertex that is nearest to this that has been obtained from your server will be saved here on the source, and the target, when we do the query and get the nearest vertex, the ID will be saved in the target, right? So that's what we need to determine if actually any of these is it the source or is it the target. So to do that, we'll need a function, and then this function we can call it, so it's a function, we can call it load vertex, and then this takes in the response, and then we should have a check to see if it's a source. If it's not, automatically we'll know that is the target. So the response should have the features, so we can say var features, because it's JSON format as we had seen earlier. So features, so it's response dot features, and then after this we want to check if there's any route added to the map. If there's any, we need to clear it so that to prepare for the new one. So to do that, we are going to create a GeoJSON layer. So if you go to Leaflet, look at the layers, the docs, and then look at the GeoJSON layer. The JSON layer, we should be able to create a new one. So we are going to create an empty one for the start. So we just create it somewhere here after the map, after the base map, and then say var, call it the or path, just call it path path layer, and then just going to be an empty one. So l.geojson, and then have it null. So yeah, we need to check if the map has that layer added, and then if it's there, we need to remove it, right? So to do that, we will do map dot, we had initialize the map, so to remove the layer, we do map dot remove layer, and then you give in the root layer, or the root layer that we had defined up there. But now remember it's empty, so we'll see how to add it initially, and then we'll do a check to see if the layer, if this point is source, and then if it's source, then we need to set the source that we had need to set the source as the features. Then we want the first one, then properties dot id. You see, GeoJSON usually returns a list of features, but we just want the first feature, which is only one. So yeah, so if it's the source, we know this. If it's equal to the source, if this marker is equal to the first one, you see, if this the vertex that we are loading is equal to this one, then we should set it as the source here, right? So yeah, else automatically that becomes now the target layer. So we say just copy this one and paste it there. Yeah, so this is how we are now going to set the vertexes. So once we do that, we're going to now load vertex, and then it's going to take in the data, and then we need a way to check if this now is the source. So to do that, we are going to pick the selected point and then make it to string, the marker to string. Remember, the selected point is set from here, the e.target.get long, and this has a function to convert it to string for easy checking of equality. So we do that function, and then see if it's equal to source, the source marker, and then dot, we get the lat long of that source marker which we had added to the map, and then also convert it to string. So if they are equal, it should match, and this should be able to tell us if it's the source or is it the target. If otherwise, then that is the target marker. So you can see our map so far, nothing has changed. So now we need now to do the query that is going to get the root. So if we can test this out, if we can also, before we test, we can do the same for the source, for the target. So just pick this and then copy paste somewhere here. Yeah, and this should also be able to listen to the drag end and the drag for the source marker and then the target marker, both of them. So we can test this if we get the vertex coming back. So we can just console.log the data here, then try to see if anything comes. A root layer is not defined, so I think we need to correctly define. This was path layer, so we change this to path layer, it's not root. So we need to do, if we do that, you're able to see this now is the nearest vertex. You see the first one, you're able to give us the ID, so this is 298. And if we also move this one, you'll be able to get the vertex, the nearest vertex to this point, which is 39. If you see on network, you can see the network actually being called the queries to Geoserver, right? So it means that our loading vertex works and our getting vertex works. So the next thing we'll want to do is now to get the actual path and then add it to the map. So to do that, we are going to write a function that gets the route. So we're going to call it function, then we say get route. This should take the source and the target, which are saved here, right? We do the call, load the vertices here, and then do the call finally down here. So we'll want to get the view params, which will send to the route, which is the source and the target. So we say something like view params equals to, give it in an array, you say source, or we can just do the URL. So if we can just copy this one and change the parameters, so here copy that one, paste it here, then this is the shortest path, make sure you change that shortest path, and then the parameters, we want to put the source, which is now the source from our variable, and then the target is the target variable, right? Yeah, I think that's fine. So once we do that, now we need to get that query. This should be an asynchronous call. We can do Ajax or use the get JSON directly. So we pass in the URL, and then once the data is back, you can pass in the data, and then now we need to remove any previously added layer, the path layer. So path layer to clear, and then we need to add data to this layer. So we are going to do path, create a new one, and then say l.geojson, then add the data, and then now we add this to the map. So we say map dot add layer, and then should be path layer, right? So this is our function that gets the route. So once we have that function set, so we can do that here. So once we drag along and do any change, we'll be able to do that call. After the get vertex query is done, which is synchronous, we can now do the get route, yeah, and then I can try to run that and see. Yeah, okay, that's not what we expected. We can also do the same here. So if we say git route, okay, if we move this along, yeah, and so this is able to give us the shortest path. So first of all, when you finish dragging, it's going to look for the nearest point to that area. So if I move, my area is around this area, my area of interest. So when I move, it's going to calculate the nearest vertex and then take the source and target and send that to Geoserver to do the shortest path and return that back, right? So we want to initially do the call, so we can just say we want, when you load the map, to have like, so let's say when you refresh, it will have the path drawn. So to do that, we can get the vertexes, the vertex for both. So we say get vertex, the markers that we know their location. So we are going to do source, the source marker dot get lat long, send that to be calculated for the nearest vertex, and then also get vertex for the target marker dot get lat long, like that, and then finally do the get root, right? So if we run that, you should be able to see the root drawn. So if I refresh, yeah, you can see. So if I move the markers around, you should be able to get the routes showing the shortest path between these points drawn. Yeah, so basically that is it. We have finished our tutorial series. We are able to load the data, build the network, build the SQL views, and then now finally we have the mapping client. This was easy enough. So I hope you have learned something new, and please don't forget to subscribe. We'll be doing more of the mapping application. Yeah, so until then, see you. I'll put this code in the description, link below on GitHub, so that you can able to get it and use it in your further extension of this application. There's so much we can do, but for simplicity purposes, this is what we have so far. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial series, and see you next time. Bye bye.